Okay, so how about we get started? First, again, I want to say thank you all so much for taking the time today and joining us. We're really, really excited to have you, and I am looking forward to getting into the Dell Scholarship, talking about the application and yeah, making sure that we can answer all your questions. All right, Joe, do you want to go to the next slide? Great. Okay, so first, just a quick overview of what we're going to talk about today. So first, we are going to do an overview of the Dell Scholarship. So what are all those benefits that you'd get? What are the eligibility requirements? And what does the application entail, including some really important dates? Then after that, we're going to pass it on to Mohammed. I am super excited that he is here with us today. He is actually a current Let's Get Ready coach and also a Dell Scholar recipient. So he will be able to share his experience with you all and, make sure that he can get your questions answered. So again, we're really, really excited to have him. And yeah, then like I said, we're going to open it up to questions from you all where you can find out all those answers that you were wondering. And something super exciting is that for those of you that are here today, again, thanks so much. And for those of you who also participate in the Q&A and ask a question, we're going to enter your names into a raffle to be entered to win a $50 Amazon gift card. So super exciting. Make sure you're thinking of those questions. I already see tons of people are putting them in the chat, which is awesome. All right, Joe, you want to take it to the next slide? And yeah, you can just play the video.
This is the Dell Scholars Program.
And if you thought we were only a scholarship, you're going to be in for a great surprise. The Dell Scholars Program is all about college completion,
Making sure students earn a bachelor's degree in 6 years or less with as little debt as possible. Our team of advisors and peer ambassadors get to know each student's circumstances
to help them navigate resources on campus and through our program.
and to help them develop a plan to stay on track for graduation.
Dell scholars graduate with a bachelor's degree at twice the national average compared to their peers. That means they are in really good hands. We're here to provide support every step of the way, all the way through graduation. That includes
A $20,000 scholarship, up to $5,000 a year to reduce college costs,
a laptop computer to help students stay connected,
textbook credits to help them pay for books and stay on top of their studies, access to scholar services, including free legal and financial guidance, confidential counseling, life and work solutions,
coaching and guidance for degree completion to support academic progress, and most importantly, a personal support system.
no matter what challenges they may face, academic, financial, emotional.
Dell scholars are not in this alone.
So now you know, the Dell Scholars Program is more than a scholarship.
We're there to support students on their journey to a degree and beyond.
Awesome. Feel free to go to the next slide, please.
This is the Dell.
Great. Okay, so yeah, as you just heard from that video, the Dell Scholars Program is really a lot more than just a scholarship. The money is great for sure. It cannot deny that, but it's a lot more than that. It offers a whole support system to help you navigate the academic, the financial, and the personal challenges of college. And really, at Dell, they really want you to succeed and they want you to graduate, which is why they're offering these resources. All right, we can head to the next slide. Okay, so now really getting into it, what are all the benefits that you can receive as a Dell Scholar? So really the headline one is that $20,000 scholarship. This is such a great opportunity. And this is spread out over your years of college. Muhammad can get into this a little more later on if you're interested to speak to the way that that is distributed. You also will receive personalized and multifaceted support for the academic, financial, and emotional life challenges that may prevent students from completing college. You also would receive a laptop with a 4-year warranty. So, really making sure that you have that in college. Along with CHEG credits, for anyone that doesn't know what CHEG is, you can buy textbooks, you can rent textbooks, you can also use it to find solutions to answers or to problems in a textbook. This is really huge. I always wished that I had this in college, but I never wanted to pay for it. So with this, you get $500 each year for 4 years from CHEG. You also gain access to a scholars resource network. This is actually for both students and families of Dell scholars, and it helps with resources to deal with stress, debt, managing childcare, or other life circumstances. And you also, this one is really cool as well. You gain access to a teletherapy service that connects students to professional counseling if you're interested. And this is of no cost to you. So if you'd like to take part, you'd be able to as a Dell scholar. If you'd like to find out more about what any of these look like, again, feel free to ask later on during the Q&A. All righty. Great. Okay, now getting into eligibility, I already saw a lot of people are wondering about that, and I'm really glad because it is important to think about. So in order to apply, all students must participate in a program approved college readiness program. This is sometimes called a CRP in both grades 11 and 12. So what does that mean? Basically, Let's Get Ready is your college readiness program. So if you're a student with us and you've been with us 11th grade and 12th grade, then you're satisfying this requirement. We're going to get to this more a little bit in a second, but that's what you need to know for now. You also need to be on track to graduate from an accredited high school in the current academic year. So that would be this upcoming spring, May, June 2023, with a minimum of a 2.4 GPA. This is something that I really want to highlight here. If you have a 2.4 and you meet these requirements, you should definitely apply. Some scholarships I think have much higher GPA requirements, and with this particular one, it's not all about grades. We'll get to that more later to what it is they're looking for, but I really encourage you to apply. Don't be discouraged if you don't have a 4.0. You also need to demonstrate a need for financial assistance. Now, the way that they verify that is that they want students to be eligible to receive a federal Pell Grant in the first year of college. We will also be explaining this more in a second, so we'll come back to that. Also, you need to plan to enroll full-time at an accredited higher education institution in the pursuit of a bachelor's degree in the fall directly following high school graduation. So again, this is for students graduating this year and then starting college right in that fall after graduation. Also notice here that it's not like a particular college that you need to go to, as long as it's an accredited higher education institution where you're pursuing a bachelor's degree, then it meets the requirements. All right, we can move on to the next slide. Awesome. Okay, so coming back to this financial eligibility stuff, like I said, you need to be eligible for a Pell Grant in your first year of college in order to apply for this scholarship. But what is a Pell Grant and how do you know if you're eligible? So the Pell Grant is a federal grant, so it's coming from the government, and it's awarded to students who demonstrate exceptional financial need. The way that that's measured is through the FAFSA. The FAFSA is the free application for federal student aid. Some of you may have already applied or have started your applications, but you do need to be eligible for the FAFSA in order to be eligible for this particular scholarship. After completing the FAFSA, you'll then be able to use that information to verify your eligibility to Dell. This is not something that you have to worry about quite yet. This actually comes in the second part of the application process. So really don't have to worry too much about this now. And we're also here to help you, for any materials that are required at that time, we can definitely support you in gathering those. All righty. We can head to the next slide. Thank you. All right, now getting back to the college readiness programs. I know this is a lot of information, but this part is really, really important. So like I said before, Let's Get Ready is going to be your college readiness program that you'll name on your application. We've actually included a screenshot of part of the application where it's going to ask you to list that in addition to a counselor name. So for this part, you're not going to put your guidance counselor or your coach. You're actually going to be putting my information. Okay, so my name is Isabel Roloff. That's my email on the board. I really, really would love for everyone to like take a quick picture of this, a screenshot, write it down. That way you can make sure that it's in your application. We'll also be sending reminders about this, but yeah, it would just be great if everyone could take a quick picture. So I'll wait a second and move on in a bit. I do see in the slide or in the chat, yes, this presentation is actually being recorded and we'll be distributing it, so you can refer to this presentation anytime. Also, great question in the chat. You don't need to use a phone number. That is an optional field, so you can just skip it. This is really so I can verify that you all participate in the program, and that can be done via email. Okay. All right, I think we can head to the next slide. And yes, it's for both 11th and 12th grade. Okay. Now, we went through the eligibility requirements, kind of those base requirements, but who should really apply? Like, what are they looking for? What makes a candidate stand out? So, as I mentioned before, grades are not everything, and SAT scores are optional, but you do not have to submit them if you don't want to. So rather than looking at just, your grades, they look for what they call a unique GPA, which stands for grit, potential, and ambition. So grit, taking action in your life, addressing and overcoming personal challenges related to families, schools, or communities. They also really like to see potential, that you are growing, and participating in Let's Get Ready is a great way of demonstrating that. Another example of that could be like taking AP classes, honors classes, IB classes, that sort of thing, demonstrating that you are pushing yourself to succeed in school. Also, they're looking for ambition. So, students that are excited about college, that have a dream of attending school and have been planning for this and thinking about this. So you might be wondering, like, how are they going to get this from your application? And that's done through a series of short answer questions that comes in the second round. So you'll really be able to, let them know who you are, talk about yourself as an individual, and make sure that you are addressing what they're looking for through this GPA. All right, I think we can head to the next slide. Okay, great. All right, so now getting into some key application dates. Now, the application is already open. I think some people said that they had started it already, which is awesome. So the first round opened October 1st. And this part of the application is honestly super quick, super easy. It's just kind of filling in some basic information and takes about 10 to 15 minutes to complete. Really not long at all. So I super encourage all of you, as long as you're meeting those eligibility requirements, to definitely apply. So this first part of the application, again, quick and easy. So you can just get it out of the way tonight if you want to, do it soon so that you can make sure everything's in on time. This application, this part, is due on December 1st. This is a really hard deadline, so you want to make sure that you have completed 100% of your application by this date. And you'll see it on the application. It will say like 100%, and that's how you know you're done. So again, yeah, just make sure you have it in by December 1st, honestly earlier if you can, but that's the absolute latest time. After that, then about a week later, they will announce the semifinalists. So you'll find out if you've advanced to the next round. If you advance to the next round, you will then have to submit additional materials. So that's where the short answer questions will come in, where you'll get to, really talk about yourself and show them who you are. With that, I'd say definitely, make sure you're checking for grammar, that sort of thing, rereading, and we can also help as well when the time comes. You'll also then be submitting all the financial requirements, so having to do with your FAFSA. Once again, we can help you with that as well. Another thing for this part is that you'll be asked to put down a recommender. This is someone who can really advocate for you, maybe a teacher, a guidance counselor, someone that knows you as a student and can speak to your abilities and your individuality. They will not have to write you a full letter of recommendation or anything, but they will be sent some answer or some questions that they can answer about you. And so all of that will then need to be submitted by January 27th. Once again, this is a hard deadline, so it's really important that you have these materials submitted by then. From then, that's pretty much all you need to take care of. March 16th, you'll then find out who the Dell Scholars are if you've been selected as a Dell Scholar. So yeah, once again, feel free to take a picture of this too. Again, we will be distributing these slides. It's all on the website as well. But yeah, again, this first stage really doesn't take very long, and I highly encourage as many of you as possible to apply. Also, just this quick highlight on the side, which is that Dell Scholars graduate at twice the national average for their peers. Awesome. Okay. Yes, go ahead.
Sometimes running through life, I feel like you're going to encounter paths that are going to be smooth, well-lit, and other points in life, you're going to find paths that are going to be rugged and unfamiliar territory. I always felt that I had the responsibility as the oldest child in my family to help my parents in any way I could. They sacrificed so much in their life to put me in the position where I am in today. I never looked at college to be really as a path I would take. I didn't think it was fit for me, and I didn't think it would actually have a better outcome for myself or my family. It wasn't until my teachers, my counselor, influenced me to think outside of the box. So that's specifically when I started looking into scholarships. My counselor recommended the Dell Scholars because she said, hey, it's a really good scholarship. They help you out not only financially, but they help you out in the long term. And in my head, I was kind of like, well, I mean, sure, but there's a lot of other good students. What makes me stand out? My counselor told me, you should still try. Have some faith in yourself. Once I got the Dell Scholarship, I was excited and motivated to go into college and finish. After graduating, I was extremely motivated to go out, start building my career, and taking that next leap into my future. Working as a cybersecurity consultant, I get to work with people not only in the United States, but I get to work with people across Latin America. I get to help people that I feel I have a personal connection with. My overall goal when going to college was not only to achieve a higher education, but to actually be able to provide for my family and give back to them. Now, after graduating college with the career that I have, I am able to confidently say that I can. I know the process for becoming a Dell Scholar can be hard, but it's something that will change your life entirely.
Awesome. Yeah, just like a quick takeaway from that video, I feel like sometimes applying to scholarships, you're like, I'm never going to get chosen. There's, why would it be me? I'm sure there's so many other great applicants out there, but give it your best shot. You never know, have confidence in yourself. And yeah, just make sure that you get everything in on time. So that wraps up the first part of our presentation. We are now going to pass it along to Mohammed.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, my name is Mohammed Mir. I am a second year and junior by credits at True University in Madison, New Jersey. My major is mathematics. My minor is Middle East Studies. And two things that I'm currently working or in the process that I'm really excited about is one, I'm restarting a dormant club on my campus that was active prior to COVID. It's called TEDx. If you know what TED Talks are, we're basically trying to bring them to campus. A lot of work ahead, and it's definitely something I'm really passionate about and looking forward to having officially rolled out and have some events on campus. And another thing that I'm doing right now is I'm doing preparatory work for my thesis. If you don't know what a thesis is in this context, is basically some research that I'm doing and around what my is going to be focused on is econometrics, which is combining statistical analyses on the economy, and I'm doing this in the Middle East region, and it's something definitely interdisciplinary and sort of out of my direct reach as a math major and Middle East minor. So it's a challenging process, and I'm doing a lot of work for it right now, and I'll be writing it in my senior year. So 2 semesters, one semester away, and I mean, I got a lot of work ahead of myself, but I'm just really excited how it turns out. Just to give you a little roadmap of how my process was with applying to Dell Scholars was, I was a junior when I was told about let's get ready, SAT prep. I signed up. I said, sure, why not? I started going there. It was all right, but then COVID happened during my year and everything went virtual, and they sort of kind of continued the SAT prep. But the problem was the SAT and the ACT testing locations were all shut down. And I know many of you are asking, do you need SAT scores or whatnot? I didn't submit my SAT scores or to Dell Scholars or to any college rather, because I didn't have time to take the SAT. It didn't work out for me because no place near me was open for me to take the test. So that didn't work out for me, and I just want to let you all know that that's not a requirement to apply, and it's pretty much becoming a norm now for colleges to also not consider or mandate SAT or ACT prep. And as when I heard about the scholarship my senior year, I just said, cool, whatever, just another scholarship, let me just fill it out. And I filled it out, and next thing you know, I got selected this time. I found this, I was like, okay, and then I had to submit some responses, and I did that. And when I did get selected, it came as a surprise, and I was like, oh wow, I didn't think it was going to happen, because I just thought it was just another scholarship, and that the odds of me winning were just so minuscule that it wouldn't happen, but it did happen. So again, I'm going to reiterate what it's about. That I encourage everyone who does meet the requirements to apply. It wouldn't hurt you at all to just apply, because you don't know, you might just be selected. And that's just a brief introduction about me and who I am and my process and my path to being a Dell Scholar.
Thank you, Muhammad. We have a series of questions that we're going to be asking you over the course of the next kind of half hour, and obviously the various questions that have been put into the chat. So I guess our first question, Muhammad, is I guess one thing I'm kind of curious about is how long do you remember spending on your applications?
Oh my gosh. So the initial process of just submitting out the documents and all that, it didn't take too long, because again, the process is quite easy. To make it very seamless, they have this progress bar. I think they'll even email you saying, hey, you forgot to submit this or submit this document and whatnot. So it was a very easy process. When it came to filling out the short answer questions, I just wrote freely. I just wrote about things that I thought were interesting to me. I thought, I was like, oh wow, this is something that I'm really passionate about. I'm gonna write about it. And some of the stuff you might say, it was I thought was oh my god, this is really corny. I wouldn't really share with someone out loud. But I still wrote about it, because again, it was something connected to college and what I wanted to do in the future and all that. And I thought it would be a really good fit to show like this is the type of person I am, this is how I think and all that. I say overall about the short answer, I didn't spend too long on that at all. I didn't stress so much about it because I chose to write so, freely and so staying like basically true to my heart on it. So I would advise everyone to just do the same and not like over stress about these Q&As or questions.
Awesome. I think, one thing that folks might be curious to learn more about is like how, what kind of grades, what kind of student were you like in high school? There's kind of a lot of different goalposts when it comes to who's eligible for this, but like what kind of student, if you don't mind sharing, were you like back then?
Sure. So I just like to remind everyone before I say this. Every high school is different. How they calculate grades, what they offer is different. So don't just look at my circumstances and be like, oh my God, my school didn't do the same thing, or I'm not like this person. I possibly can't get selected. Everyone's circumstances are different. So please just take this, with a grain of salt. But obviously I was in Let's Get Ready my junior and senior year. In terms of extracurriculars, I think freshman year, I joined the track team, and then I continued all the way to my senior year. I hopped into cross country like sophomore year because I just really loved track, and it was just so fun to me. And like I never did sports prior to like high school, so like I was like I need to do cross country in order for that condition because I was a sprinter that did track and mainly ran like the 1, 2, and 400. But that's what I did in terms of athletics. I did basically running for almost all 4 years. In terms of my GPA, so my school did it based on a 4.0 and they had a weighted and unweighted. I think my unweighted was like 3.91 or something like that. And then my weighted was like something like really ridiculous. Like our school just like had like inflated GPAs, like 4.5 something. Like everyone had like really high GPAs because of our school was fortunately able to offer a lot of AP classes, and a lot of people did end up taking that, and that based on how they calculate the weighted GPA, those AP courses really boosted everyone's GPA, but they necessarily weren't a reflection of how good people did on the AP exams because that's a different story. But I took about maybe 11 units or so of AP classes. I wasn't top 10 in my class either. I was like 14 out of like 300 students as well. So you don't have to be like some super high, like top 10% or top 10 people in your class. And yeah, in terms of clubs as well, I was part of the Spanish Honor Society because I took Spanish for 4 years and then 1 year in middle school. That's something that I was really passionate about as well, because I think I wrote that in my short responses because my community was so Hispanic based and I didn't speak Spanish and I felt like I was missing something. So I decided to like, okay, I'm going to dedicate my time to learn Spanish. And it was just a really great experience for me. And yeah, that's the type of student I was. I was very like well-rounded. I did athletics. I did some clubs, not too many. And I did all right in terms of like grades and like class and stuff like that. But again, like my school was different than your school. So please don't like compare like, apples to apples. It's really apples to oranges here.
Yeah, that's really helpful to know. One question in the chat that I wanted to kind of ask is, when it came to the recommender, who did you ask to be your recommender, and how should students go about, talking to a potential recommender and asking them for their support?
So when it comes to picking a recommender for anything college related, whether it be the colleges you're applying to or scholarships, my advice is that you would want to pick an advisor, not a recommender who you have some sort of relationship to, some teacher that you have had conversations with that sort of knows you personally as well. Like they're not just a teacher who you go to the class, you might raise your hand once or few times, you do the classwork, homework, and then you just walk out. It would be best to pick someone who you've had a conversation with, some sort of relationship building. For me, that was one of my math teachers. I've known him. I had a class with him my freshman year, and then I think my junior and senior year, I also had classes with him. And even in between that, I just would stop by his class and, I just say like hi, and like, we had a really good relationship. And we just really bonded well together. And people like that, I would recommend you choosing as your recommender because they sort of know you in class, but they know you outside as well. And like I think that might be beneficial. But you also, I've heard people say, telling their recommenders, hey, could you also write this about me? Or like, I would, in that sense, I would say, if you have some type of story that you feel would really, you know, boost your application, whether it be this moment that you think really encapsulates who you are or what you think would be really good for a recommender to say about you. You might suggest, hey, could you remember that one time I did this, or that, could you consider that when you're writing my recommendation letter? And I'm sure like most people would be happy to write about those pleasurable moments. But in again, like, just my recommendation comes to picking someone who you had some sort of relationship building with, someone who knows you sort of outside the class as well as inside the class. That'll really help give a more revolving understanding of who you are as a student.
Awesome. So you would say it's definitely very important to have, when possible, try to have a meeting with who you want to support you in your application.
Absolutely, absolutely. A meeting would never hurt. Just say like, again, like, just sort of try to, like, if you want certain things, if you feel like again, this is sort of more general and it applies to like sort of the entire application process. When you answer short answer questions, you should intend to answer every single question with the same type of story. You want to show off different facets of you because you're a multifaceted person. You have different sides of you that you should be able to like try to show as best as you can. Perhaps you were volunteered a lot in high school. Maybe you want to write about that in one short answer response somehow. Talk about that. Maybe in another response you want to talk about how much going to college means to you, and just sort of, you want to pick on like different parts of you, and you don't necessarily want to write about the same thing every single response, because that doesn't necessarily help the person who's reading the application. Because I'm sure whatever you write about multiple times would be great, but I think the person who's reading the application wants to know more about you and wants to know different things about you. So, and when connecting that to your recommender, maybe you are planning to write some things about your application that you don't, and you feel like you're missing some things that would also really help boost your case. Maybe you want to tell your recommender, or say, is there a way you can talk to me? You can sort of resonate this about me, how I'm such a leader in class, and I'm always willing to raise my hand and take risk, even answer questions that I know without like knowing the answer, like being able to take risks and stuff like that. Those are sort of like, you could think about it. It's not necessarily completely required to, but it's good things to keep in mind if you want to have a really strong application. But I didn't do this, by the way. I didn't have a meeting with my advisor just because of how the COVID situation was. But because of our relationship, I feel like they wrote a really strong recommendation letter, which is why I think one of the reasons why I am a Dell Scholar.
Thank you, Muhammad. I think, we're getting a lot of questions that are kind of centered around the actual like logistics of having a Dell scholarship. Does it impact, if a student were to earn a Dell scholarship, is that going to impact their financial aid that they might receive from their university?
So yeah, I want to address like quite a few things along with that question as well, in terms of distribution or allocation of these funds. So it's $20,000 $20,000, and you are able to use that across 4 years. During your first year, which is a fall semester and a spring semester, so one academic year, in the fall semester, you can request 2,000. They will request for you actually $2,500, no more and no less. So you're going to receive $2,500 for the fall semester, and then $2,500 for the spring semester. These come in as checks, and they are checks that are sent to the school, not to you. So the school will use these checks, and they will just deduct this from your bill for the semester. Because if you don't know, usually colleges will bill you per semester. So before the start of the fall, they'll bill you, and you should pay the bill before the start of classes to avoid any problems. And same thing for spring. But after your first academic year, you have some flexibility, I believe. So you are able to request, say in your fall semester, you wanted to request for some reason $4,000. Sure, you can do that, but then you're only limited to $1,000 for your spring year. So it's $5,000 per academic year, and you can divide that up in however amount, 3,000, 2,000, 2,500, 2,500, and you only have this flexibility after your first academic year, because during your first academic year, you're given 2,500 the fall and 2,500 the spring. So afterwards, you can request, however much you want, but it's capped to $5,000 per academic year. Another question that I have been asked before is, say, like, oh, my bill says I only need to pay 2,000, right? And so like you would request $2,000. So here's the thing as well. Before you're able to request the money from Dell, you have to submit your what's it called? Yeah, your billing and how much it's going to cost you to go to school for the next semester. So they will not allow you to request more than what your bill is. And I think I saw a question before, does the money or the scholarship cover books and all that? So it covers everything that's in your bill. So if you live on campus, so that's tuition, board, housing, meal plan, all that stuff, that's all part of your bill. I don't know how you would include books in your bill, but if it's in your bill that the school tells you need to pay this amount, then yes, that will cover that amount. But you can't request more than you can't. So if your bill was like 2,000 for the fall semester, you wouldn't be able to request from Dell more than 2,000. And I've also been asked before, say you have some money left over, you maybe have 2,000 left over after all 4 years, then you won't be able to request that 2,000 that's remaining, because you're not going to school anymore. You've already basically received your degree, or you're on your way to receive your degree. So that money that's left over, you can't use, because it's only for your tuition, your bill, which encompasses your tuition, board, housing, and all those other expenses. Is there like another question related to that? I feel
Yeah, I
like
think
you're saying something related.
what happens if like a student gets like a full tuition scholarship? Like what if they get like a full ride from university and they were able to like, earn the Dell scholarship? Does that mean, can they still get anything from Dell, or would they not be eligible to receive any funding from Dell?
So that's a really interesting question. I think that if you do receive a full ride, and your billing is basically $0, and maybe some colleges include other fees that like are not part of the full ride for some reason, but as long whatever is on your bill is, if you have some money on your bill, then you are able to request money from Dell Scholars. But if you have $0 on your bill, I don't think you would be eligible to request money from Dell Scholars. But that doesn't mean that you're not limited to like being able to use the resources that Dell offers as well, like, the scholarship network, the telepathy services and all these, and the check credits and all that, you can still access all of those. But in terms of that, $20,000 scholarship, I do not believe you would be able to request money from there if you already have a full ride. It wouldn't make sense from Dell's side. Ooh, I see a question that says, how long do the services last? I believe like they extend even after you graduate from college. I think you still have access to like the telepathy and like all these other like services even after you graduate, which is just incredible because they really something that I really want to highlight that was really encapsulated well in the slideshow was the scholarship is just more than money. It's a way to make sure that students are graduating from college with a bachelor's degree, and Dell knows that there are so many adversities a student can face in between that process, and that is why they offer these other services like the laptop and all of that, because they really want to make sure students graduate. So I do believe you have access to like the telepathy and like the scholarship network even after you graduate, so which is incredible.
Yeah, can you actually elaborate a little bit more on like these benefits that you get outside of the tuition help? Like how have
Sure.
they been so far for you?
Sure. So when I first received it, when I got the laptop and all that, I got a book bag as well as an insulated water bottle and a mask as well, which was like really cool. And they had like the Dell Scholars logo and everything, which was I thought was really cool because that was totally unexpected. And I think they're still doing that. But you get a free backpack, I think a free mask and like a free insulated water bottle, which is like really cool. But other than that, you have the check credits as well. You can buy like a subscription, use it for books and stuff like that. And like for like getting answers to like textbook solutions or asking questions on check. Great resources. As well as the laptop comes with like a 4-year warranty, and it really makes sure that students don't have some sort of technical problem, with the laptop not being able to like run some sort of program that is necessary for doing college work or whatnot. But there's also the scholarship network as well. I think you can search up other scholars, like, in your state, in your college. Unfortunately, there's still nobody that goes to Drew that has won the Dell Scholars. And I think I was the only person from my high school who won it for like the first time, which was really exciting as well for me. But you can search up like, who has won the Dell Scholarship in my high school, in my city, my town, my college, like basically any parameter or major as well for that fact. And there's also, again, like the telepathy services and all these mental health resources and therapy resources that are just, incredible. I keep iterating this fact because that's really what a large part of the scholarship is about, because they know students will have some sort of trouble. They will have some sort of challenges as they progress through college, whether that be, stress or, like whatever it might be. They have these services that are completely free, by the way, and confidential, that you have access to, and they really just want to make sure that you can graduate with a bachelor's degree. These services, I haven't been able to use them all because my circumstances didn't require me to utilize these services, but they're just there for me, and I'm just so glad that they are there in case I do ever need to use something like that, or I don't know where to go. It's just great to have another resource like that.
And are there any like requirements that you have to kind of fulfill, like semester, year? Like, is there anything that you have to do in order to keep being eligible to receive money? Like, is there a GPA requirement? Is there anything like, is there anything like that you have to do, or yeah, what kind of requirements are expected of Dell Scholars each year?
So I don't think there are any requirements at all. I don't think you have to maintain like a certain GPA or whatnot. The only thing they do want is like your transcript, and even they just want that for to keep track of like, okay, you're taking this many credits this semester, you're taking that many credits that semester. Are you on track to graduate in 4 years? That's the only reason they're keeping that or requiring you to do that. So There are no like GPA requirements. Oh, you have to maintain a certain GPA to have a scholarship. No. So once you are selected as a Pell Scholar, you have access to those resources. Um, Even if like you you are below the GPA of like what's required for you to apply. One thing that I would like to note is that if for whatever reason that you are no longer enrolled in college, I think they would, first they would ask, to meet with someone from Dell Scholars, like, okay, what's your situation? What are your circumstances? Why are you considering dropping out of college, or are you in danger of dropping out, or whatever it might be? But you have to be enrolled into college for as long as you have the scholarship in order to receive, the benefits of the scholarship. So that's something that I do want to reiterate, is that make sure that you are in college and that you are planning to graduate. You are on track to graduating in 4 years with a bachelor's degree. If for some reason you are not, and you are dropping out, or whatever your circumstances might be, Dell will ask you to meet with them, and they'll discuss okay, here's what's going to happen, and the next steps forward. But you do have to be enrolled in college full time. Full time means 12 credits, which is could be 3 classes or 4 classes depending on your college and how many credits per class. But yeah, just those are the only requirements. I believe you just have to be a full-time student in the college, in a 4-year accredited college program.
And I think, as we start getting to the end, as long as a student is graduating within 4 years, it doesn't matter whether or not they transfer to any other schools, correct?
Yeah, so I think if you transfer, you should still be fine, right? I think if you take longer than 4 years as well, say you take longer than 4 years, maybe 5 years, and you decided to request 5,000 every academic year. So when it comes to your final year, or when it comes to your final year, your 5th year, and you have no money in the Dell Scholars, you aren't able to request more money. So once you use the 20,000, it's gone. You are not eligible for more funds, but you still have access to the Dell Scholar resources, as well, of course, but you wouldn't be able to request more money. So even if you do transfer, or you take an extra year or two, or whatnot, as long as you're enrolled in the college and pursuing a bachelor's degree as a full-time student, you should be fine.
Awesome. I guess like one question, we're getting tons of questions, but I think one aspect I want to talk just like really quickly about is like, when you reflect back on your time applying, was there ever any point during the application process that you just kind of felt like, oh man, maybe I'm not cut out for this? Like, have you, or were you always kind of determined for this?
Well, I understand that when it comes to like the Dell Scholarship Program, and I also want to address another question that I saw, like how selective is the process. So I did something very similar as well last year, and I didn't know the answer to that question. But this year, when Dell reached out to me again to do this, I made sure to ask. And what they told me was that 500 students are selected every year as Dell Scholars. So I think that's a question that many students had that I'd like to address. 500 students are selected every year. But I guess the only time I never viewed it as like, oh my God, I'm not cut out for this, or this is just way too difficult. I just saw it as like another like sort of application. Like, okay, this is one scholarship application. Let me just fill it out, and then hope for the best and just go to the next application, right? I didn't stress so much about this, and I definitely did not quit. I do not advise anyone to quit, because as long as you're eligible, you should continue applying for it. There's literally no reason why you wouldn't apply if you did qualify. It's, as long as you like put in effort, and you're really meaningful about your responses, and you just, as a student in general, I feel you wouldn't have like a problem at all. I don't advise anyone to quit halfway, or even, at the very end or in the beginning. Just if you meet the requirements, you should apply. It wouldn't hurt you at all. And, just apply to this scholarship and just go on to the next one. Don't think this is a make it or break it situation, because there's so many more out there, and so many that are niche specific that are, statistically you are more likely to win because less people would fill in those requirements, those niche specific requirements. So that's my advice for, students who are sort of contemplating or worrying about, oh, I'm not cut out for this, or whatever it might be.
Awesome. So we're starting to get to the end, and I think obviously if we haven't yet covered one of your questions, Isabel and I will definitely be kind of looking through the chats and addressing any specific questions. But are there any other like final tips you would want to share as our students start like getting into the as they start getting ready or start completing their applications that you want to address, Muhammad?
Yeah. So again, I just want to reiterate, just think of the scholarship right now as like, okay, this is one scholarship. Cool. Let me apply and do whatever they want me to, fill out or whatever it might be. Then go on to the next scholarship. Don't think of this as like a make it or break situation, because I didn't think of it as that. I never thought that I would be a recipient, because I just, assumed it was just a regular scholarship or not. And that doesn't mean that I'm not grateful for this, because obviously I am. But I don't want students to think of this as, oh, only this amount are selected. What are the odds of me being selected if I don't have this GPA, or I don't do these extra requirements or whatnot? Just don't think of that. Every student is unique. I don't want people to think that I don't have that they themselves don't have anything interesting to say, because I do believe everyone has some interesting story, something unique to them that they can articulate in these short answer responses, or through their recommender or whatnot. So really just focus on your genuine self. Just truly be true to yourself, true to your heart, and just write about whatever you want to write about. Just write about what you're passionate about, and just be honest with yourself. And that's really, you're going to hear that a lot when it comes to like people telling you about college and stuff like that and applying. Just be true to yourself, and that's the best way you can move forward. Just be true to yourself, and just write whatever you're passionate about and whatever makes you smile or whatever makes you happy.
Awesome. Well, we're pretty much at time, but we still have a few like last minute things. And if we didn't if we didn't exactly answer your question, we are going to be reaching out, and, and Isabel will be kind of outlining just kind of like, hey, if you do have more questions, who should you reach out? But again, thank you so much, Muhammad.
Yeah, no problem. I'm more than happy to if there are certain questions that you want me to like address. I think if Isabel wanted, she could forward them to me, and I could answer them on some other time, and she would forward them back to you. But I really hope this session was just informal, and you guys sort of walk away with a little bit more confidence into the application process, and just are more aware of how it works and everything.
Thank you so much, Mohammed. Honestly, it's really appreciated. I feel like you were able to give us so much detail and depth that as I was not a recipient of the scholarship. I didn't apply, I didn't know about it. And I feel like you have been able to give us such a depth of information. So really, thanks so much. Before you all hop off the call, again, I want to say thanks so much for joining. And I also want to really emphasize that we are 100% here for you throughout your application. So we would love as many of you to apply as possible. And so we're going to do a couple things to help. Number one, you can always email me. My email's at the bottom of that page. And again, I'll be sending out some more reminders and stuff. So that will come more. But yeah, you can always reach out to me with any questions you have. I will also be holding office hours a couple different times in the month of November. So this link, this Calendly link, you can click on it and it will have options for that first week of November. And you can sign up for a 30-minute slot if you have any questions, if you want help with your application, like really anything, we can talk through it and make sure that you have everything you need. We'll also be adding more dates later. Again, right now it's just that first week, but we're going to have a lot more, especially towards the end of the month in that last week right before the application is due. So yeah, definitely check that out if you're interested in having that one-on-one support. If you make it to the semifinalist round, we'll also be adding times then and other support. But yeah, for now, feel free to reach out to me whenever. Again, Mohammed, thank you so much. If there's anything that I feel like you could particularly be an expert on, I'll definitely let you know. And yeah, we are here for you, and I hope you all apply, because that would be awesome. Joe, do you have anything you want to add?
No, I mean, I guess just the final thing, like Muhammad mentioned earlier, like, you know, if you're one of those students that does get a really large financial aid package and you do get the Dell scholarship, just remember, like, there's a lot of things you can charge to your accounts in college that like you can like kind of take advantage of. So, you know, don't worry. Like if you're in that position, don't worry. Like you can probably find a way to like, you know, cash that in at your university.
It would be a pretty good problem to have. Yeah. Awesome. Great. Okay. Again, we really appreciate all of your questions. The raffle, we're not going to announce that right now. We'll take all your names and send that out in a couple days when we're able to process that, along with the recording of our session today. So once again, thank you all so much for all your questions and enthusiasm and joining, taking the time out of your day. Best of luck with all your applications, and remember, yeah, we're here for you.
Bye, guys. Best of luck. Please make sure to apply if you meet the requirements.
Yay.